Hello everyone and welcome again to another episode of our tutorial series, the Unity Beginner Guide, here learning about C# basics in Unity. I hope you are doing well, I hope you are having a good week, and I hope you will have a beautiful weekend. So in the last episode we've learned guys how we use the while loop and the for loop, right? If you didn't, check the link here in the top corner and see those episodes for yourself. It will help you guys to understand the basics too. Now in this episode we are going to see how we can use another type of loop, and this time it's the do while. So let me just write here the while loop. This is the while loop we've seen in the last episode, right? It's written like this, and now we are going to learn this other one. So to do a do while is you write do just like this, it's do, and you open curly brackets, and inside of those curly brackets we will have our code that we want to execute, and after the curly bracket just right here we do this while, we open parentheses, and here we write our condition for our code, and we do a semicolon. So we close the do while. Now what is the difference between the while and the do while? The difference is that the while loop will check for the condition in the beginning of the code and then will execute the code. The do while will do the execution of the code, and after this he will check the condition if it's true or not. So to explain this better, let me do an example here so we can understand it. So here at the top I will create two variables. I will create an x and I will give it the value of 0. I did plus, right? Yeah, I see it. I will create an x here, and I will create a y here, and I will give it the value of 0 too. So in my while loop, we've seen the while loop, right? So we put the condition here. So while x is, let's say, superior strictly to 0, I will print the value of x here. So this is my x, so x, and I will do a plus. So this way I will print x, and I will do it like this so you can see it clearly. It's like this. So it means I will print x equal, and I will print the value of x I have in my code. And here I will do the same in the do while. I will do a debug.log just like this, and I will print the value of y, which is just like this, and I will do it just like this, easy peasy. And here in the condition I will write the same condition, while y is superior strictly to 0. Now if you've seen the last episode, you will say dude, this code will show nothing because y is equal to 0, and the condition you put there is if x is superior strictly to 0. It means we are not going to see any value, not the value of x and not the value of y, right? So this is what it's supposed to show. This is correct. Let me just save this code here and go back to Unity so I can execute this code for you. Let me clear this area here, and I will click play. And you will notice with me here we have y equal to 0. We don't have the value of x, but we have the value of y. Now why why I have the value here of this y here, and we don't have the value of x? It's really easy guys. Here in the while loop we are going to check the condition first. So the first thing we are going to do in my while loop is to check if x superior strictly to 0. X equal to 0, so it is not. It means I am not going to execute this while loop at all. But here in the do while there is slightly a different way, or I want to say there is just a slightly difference between those two. The do while will do this debug.log. It means it will execute this code no matter what, because there is no condition stopping it. It will do this code here, so it means it will show y, it will show y is equal to y here, which is 0, and then it will check is y superior strictly to 0. It is not, and then it will get outside the code. So the difference between the while and the do while, you will in the do while you will surely have your code executed at least once. This is the difference between the while and the do while. The while loop, if the condition is not true, it will not execute at all, or it will execute for a number of time and it will stop. But in the do while, you will you have assured that your code will execute at least once, and then it will check if the condition is still true. If not, it will go and get outside the loop. So this is basically how you use the do while, and this is the while loop. Of course, we've seen this in the last episode. You can go and check it again. And this time I am going to see another type of loop, which is the for each. Now the for each loop is slightly different than the while loop, or the for loop as we know it. So let me just show you. This is how you use the while loop. Again, we've seen this in the last episode. Go check it and you will see how to use it. So for the for loop, we write it like this, right? So the for each loop is the one I want to talk about, and you write it like this. So we do a for each, you write it just like this, you open parentheses, and of course you close them with a curly bracket just like this. And inside here we have our code, and here we write the condition. The condition here is to print or to do a for each loop for a variable we have here. So to do this, we need to create something first. Just for the sake of the example, I will create let's say a list. So I will create a var of type list. I just like this, list value, just like this, and I will give it, let's say, a new list, just like this, and this list will be of type int. Don't mind what's on the way right now, it's just so we can finish this quickly, and we will explain those lists and stuff later, guys, when we are making our game. So I'm just going to make a list here of variable so we can see them printed. Okay, so I will keep it just like this. So, and I will do this, and here I have created a list. So here inside this area here, we are going to do a for each. What is the difference between a for and a for each? When we execute the for code, we are going the for loop, we are going to increase the value of our I from 0 to 10, right? And then we check if I is less or greater, and we get outside the for loop. But for the for each loop, we are going to execute our code for each value we have inside our for each loop. Let me just show you here quickly. So in the for loop, we create a variable that we want to increase or decrease, right? So I will do the same. I will create a int, and I will give it let's say x, again, just an example, x, and here you write for int x in what? In our list value, just like this. We do this int x in our list value, and here we are going to execute the code that we want. So in my case, I will just do a debug.log again, and I will print the value of x just like this, just easy. So we are going to do for each int x in list value. What does it mean? I created a variable named x, and it will go and check in the list value I created here in the top. So we created here this list value, and here our x will pretend that he is equal to the value of our list here. So the first time x will be equal to 0, the next time it will be 1, 2, 3 until 5, and then we get outside the for loop. the for each loop. So x will not have a value of 0 or 10 in our case here, but it will copy the value from our list every time and execute the code based on this value. So if I save, let me just delete this for each loop, this for loop here, and let me save this code here and go back to Unity and execute it and see what will happen. So I need to stop this, clear this area, and I will click play again, and here we should see 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it printed the value of our list one after another here. So our x here copy the value of one of our list one after another. So for each, this is what is the for each mean. So let me say it again. For each value inside our list value, we are going to execute a code. You can see it this way, guys, right? So, and the way you write it is just like this. You do the for, you create the variable. It needs to be the same type of the list we have. So if we have here, let's say float, we need to create a float here. If we have a string here, we need to create a string here. It should be the exact same of the list that you want to use. And here we give a name to our value, right? And in, you write this in here, it means inside our list. And here we give it the name of the list we are going to count. So in our case, it was list value. And just to write the code you want to execute inside this area, and here you have your for each. I hope this was helpful, guys. I hope you did learn something in this video. Those are short videos where we are going to learn just this basic stuff from C#, and we may use this stuff in our game, we may not, but you need to know them, guys. You need to learn them. This way you may even find a job later, guys, and you can even work as a freelancer in Freelance or Fiverr or wherever you want, but not right now. We are going to finish this beginner tutorial, and by the end of them we are going to make 2D games, and we are going to start making a lot of fun tutorials. Will make you into a game developer, and you may create your own games and try to sell them. We are going to explain all of this stuff, guys, later, but not for now. We are just going step by step. So I hope to see you guys in the next episode. I hope you did like this one. Subscribe if you're new to this channel, like if you don't like what we do, and I hope to see you guys in the next episode. See ya.